Hey, it's Dorleen. Welcome to my channel. I am working on a card today, and I'm going to tell you there's a lot going on with this card. I usually try to keep my videos about 10 minutes, give or take, so I'm going to just get right into it. So I stamped this image. I actually stamped two images, the exact same one, and I'm using watercolor pencils to color them in. Watercolor pencils and also a water brush. So basically I just kind of very lightly put the colors in, and then I'm using the brush to move it around. And I really like this look because it is, well, a watercolor look, and you can darken up the colors just by letting it dry a little bit and then adding more of the watercolor pencil. And you'll see me do that here and there, and as I'm going through this. Now, obviously this is on super speed because I wish I could color this quick, but I kept these images pretty basic, red and black, the main colors. The other one, the shirt's white versus red, but basically it's the same color scheme, which made it easier because I just had all the same colors, the colored pencils just laying around. Now I'm using a light brown for the skin tone. And again, I mentioned I'll go back and put a little bit more drawn images and then spread it around with the water brush, just like you see me doing here. I really try to focus a little bit on some shading, but if you follow my channel, you've seen my coloring with either alcohol markers or watercolor or regular markers. You know, I am definitely not an expert, but I do believe in a little bit of shading, which I tried to do, as you can tell, especially now with me going around kind of the edges, and again using that water brush to just really spread it out. But it gives such a good dimension, a lot of shadows and a lot of lightness, and you know, and I know there's a whole way where you're supposed to, you know, the light reflects coming in one way. Yeah, I don't pay attention to that. I'm just doing whatever I think looks good. So again, I'm making a card. I had put on my Instagram account a question saying, hey, what card should I make? And I had a couple different people respond, and one of them was, excuse my accent, but Feliz cumpleaños, which is basically happy birthday in Spanish. Now, I do birthday cards all the time, but I've never done it with the Spanish sentiment, so I was really happy to do that. And I really thought this image would look super cute with it. Because who doesn't like a mariachi band? So anyhow, this is the second one. Again, I just kind of went back and I added a little bit more color. And then I wanted to point out, so he's wearing a white shirt on this one. So instead of just leaving it white, I add a little bit of a very light blue around the edges, and then use a water brush again to spread that color a little bit. Now you can do that with like a very light blue like I did, or even like a very light gray, but it just adds a little bit of a shadow so that white really does stand out. So it's really, again, just on the edges, and you'll see me in a little bit go through that. So again, this video is not just putting this stamped image together or coloring in the stamped image. It's a whole lot of things in one. So I happened to find a post that had a really fun background, and it was very simple. Basically, you need to cut two sets of four of certain colors. Now the key to this, sorry, I'm going to jump back, is I'm placing that on that acrylic block just to make sure it doesn't warp too much. So this is what I'm talking about. I selected four colors, black, red, green, and then I kind of did a combination of black and white, and then also this yellow pattern paper. But the other ones are cardstock from cutcardstock.com, which I am a design team member for. I'll have the link in the information box. But each of these rectangles measures 2.5 by 3 3/4. And then you cut them on the diagonal from the top left to the bottom right. And then the other set of four, which are the same colors, you cut it from the top right to the bottom left. I hope that's right. If not, all the information will be on my blog, which I'll have that link below as well. And then, since these were plain cardstock, I decided to use some tone-on-tone effect and use large background stamps. This is a musical note one, which I thought was perfect with the horns. Now you could barely see that. That's using Versamark, which is like basically it's a clear, but it gives that really good tone on tone. I was originally going to use the Versamark on all of the colors, but I didn't like the red as much. I didn't really show as much, so I just found a electric lime piece which matched perfectly with that Granny Smith green paper. Now for the black and white, I used that swirl stamp, and then I used a metallic gold, and I thought that would be really festive, so I just stamped that right on top, just like I said, to add a little bit color to those plain cardstocks. Now you can do whatever you want. Plain cardstock works just as well. So then I arranged them in, so 4 of those are arranged for one background, and you saw me quickly go through that a second ago, and now I'm doing it again. Now you did notice that I did not use the black or the white. I decided it just wasn't festive enough. So I grabbed this blue. I used that same gold ink with the swirlies and stamped over that, but so much more festive, and I'm so glad I decided to change to the blue. And now I'm just going to fussy cut these images out. And I forgot to mention, I did use some white pen and also a gold glitter marker, which I'm doing right now, on the instruments and also the belt buckles for this guy. Again, and some white highlights, and I think that really makes a big difference. So basically all I need to do is add some embellishments to that. So I first decided I was going to sprinkle some gold using my glitter marker, and you see how I just did a big oops right there in that bottom left on that right hand card. I was so upset about that, but you're going to see later that it turns out fine. Matter of fact, I don't show you when I'm assembling that card, but you'll see at the end. I will show it to you. But once I pulled that off, I was just showing you right there how well it's called Cougar Smooth White cardstock, foam cut cardstock. It's not really a watercolor paper, but it's thick enough so that it doesn't warp, and it did such a good job, especially by having it dry under that acrylic block like I showed you earlier. So again, I grabbed some embellishments that I thought I wanted to play with, which I cut some 2 3/4 inch circles with some vellum, and that is what my little image is going to be sitting on for the most part. And then I grabbed some bling and some gold thread and also some Nuvo drops. I feel like I just grabbed everything for these cards. And then I thought, ooh, I have some washi tape. And I'm going to tell you, I think I might do a series on washi tape, because I didn't even know I had this beer washi tape, and I loved it. And it was such a pretty color. Now, of course, this birthday means it's for a 21 or older recipient, but it's still, the colors matched, and I just thought it went perfectly. Now, I'm using a liquid adhesive to stick my image onto the vellum, and I will put that aside in a minute with an acrylic block to hold that down. I did grab another washi tape, and this is a black one with gold hearts, and I thought would work perfectly. And another little tip is, normally I just tear the washi tape with my hands, and then it gives like a ragged edge. I really wanted these straight because I wanted it to be even with the cards, so I used a ruler, and you can use any kind of straight edge, and you just place it down where you want it to basically cut or tear, and then tear up. I hope you saw me do that. It's pretty simple. So I grabbed some gold thread. I've watched videos where you see people, they grab the thread coming off the spool, and it just looks like this beautiful little rat's nest, but it looks like it's supposed to be a rat's nest. I cannot do that, but I just kind of wrapped it around my fingers and then pulled it apart a little bit. I used some tape to hold it down, and it looks good enough to me. And now I'm grabbing some bling for that, and I like the way it looks so far, so I'm really happy. And then I say, I got these Nuvo drops out, may as well use them. So that's what I'm doing right here, and they're just white, and they're very clear, and you really can't see them unless you're looking close up. But I do hope you like these cards. Aren't they so fun? Look at how cute they are. The sentiments were done on my Cricut with the print and cut, and perfection. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Bye.